Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a compare and contrast between the Ninja Foodi Smart XL Grill and the Ninja Sizzle. Hopefully by the end of this video you'll have a better understanding as to which one of these is better for you. So you ready? Let's get into this. One quick note, our reviews are based upon the things that I think are important. That might be a little bit different for you, so what I recommend doing is after watching this video, you pull up some other videos from different content creators. That way you can get a wider range of opinions and concerns, and with that you can make a much more informed buying decision. And that is the most important thing of all. This right here is our Ninja Sizzle, and over here we have our Ninja Foodi Smart XL Grill. You can tell right off that this is a much more simple machine. The only control on it is a single dial right here, and you use that to set your temperature all the way up to about 500 degrees. As far as function goes, it has a retractable lid. This is the GR101 model, so it has two different cooking surfaces. It has this grill right here that measures 14.5 inches wide by 9.5 inches deep. And in addition to this plate, you also get a grilling plate as well. The measurements for the cooking surface are the same on this as they are with the griddle, the only real difference being the slats. This is a non-stick dishwasher safe surface, and when properly preheated it does a really good job of keeping things from sticking to it. In fact, you can put it into your dishwasher dirty and it'll come out looking just like this without having to scrub it. The lid up top here is removable for cleaning. The fact that this lid actually comes off like this makes that task a lot easier, even though if you scrub it from the inside, these holes here can be a tiny bit on the jagged side. Sort of feels like a cheese grater a little bit on that side, but on the outside, no problem. The heating element for this is underneath here, just like that. This seems to get discolored a little bit with use, but you never really get any food on it because everything gets trapped on this, and there's really not much way for you to get anything underneath this unless you're just super sloppy. Over here we have our Ninja Foodi XL Grill, and you can see that this is a slightly different type of machine. If you like something that has lots of functions, then this definitely has that. We've got this grilling plate right here, and then below it you have a pan that can be used as a griddle or casserole. If you look at the dimensions of the cooking surface, it's a little bit misleading because this looks much smaller than that. But in actuality, if you're measuring it out, this is 13 inches wide by 9 inches deep. So it's a little bit more narrow, but it's got about the same depth. The only thing with that is that you have this tray that everything sits in, and it has these rounded edges as well. That cuts down on the surface area a little bit, and also the two handles that you use to pick this up, that takes away a little bit of space as well. So although it measures out really close, this actually has significantly less space on it than the Ninja Sizzle does. If we're looking at the griddle surfaces, like I said before, the Sizzle again measures out the same as it did before, but the Smart XL Grill has these extra ledges in here. That effectively makes the griddle surface of this a little bit more narrow and a little bit shorter as well. In fact, if I just set this in here, you can really see the difference of that. And if I bring this out all the way here to the edge, you can really see how much space you actually gain using something like this as far as a griddle function goes. The Smart XL Grill does not have heating coils down here in the bottom. It does all the heating from up top. It's got a mesh screen up here that you can take out that helps keep all this stuff up here clean. And you got your heating coils right up here, along with a fan back behind this. As far as functions go on this, you have air crisping, which is just another way of saying air frying. When you select that, you can set your temperature and the amount of time it's going to go off for, and then you would start it. Since the heating element is up in the top here, you don't have the option to run this with the machine open. You have to do all these functions with the lid shut. If you open the lid during operation, it's going to stop the fan and stop heating until you close it back up again. That goes for every single function on this machine, just to let you know. In addition to the air crisping, you have a roast feature. And again, you set your temperature and time. But when you're using roasting, you also have the benefit of using the probe. And that's just sitting in the side of the machine right here. Plugging this in gives you access to additional functions. You can see that it lit up the manual and the preset lights. If I go into preset, I can use these arrows here to change the kind of protein, whereas I got beef, chicken, pork, fish, and then back to beef. So 4 different kinds of meat. And then once you have the meat that you've selected, you can use the other arrow keys here to change the level of doneness. As you can see that changing up top there. And you'll notice that if I pick chicken, there is only well done, because if you're gonna eat undercooked chicken, then you've got a whole nother set of problems. If I set this to manual, then these arrows have no function anymore, but these arrows here will set the internal temperature of the food. The machine also has a bake function that works very similar to the roast function. We can do grilling, and by continuously pressing the grill button, you can change the level of heat. Also, you can dehydrate, which works really good for making things like jerky. And then you also have a reheat function over here on the end. All the functions on this machine do activate the fan. You'll just run the fan at different speeds depending on what you're doing. So if I were to start this up, it would tell me to shut the lid. Close that, and then the machine would start. You can see that even with the roast function, the fan does run pretty loud. That's something to think about. The Ninja Sizzle operates almost completely silent, but everything you do with the Smart XL Grill is going to sound just about this loud. And just to give you a little bit of a frame of reference, this is about how loud it is. So not super loud, but really not super quiet either. It just kind of depends on what your tolerance for noise is. These two machines use completely different types of cooking techniques. Like I said before, the Sizzle cooks from underneath, so you're getting direct heat onto this plate. The Smart XL Grill is heating the element here, and it's using the fan to blow the heat back down on top of the surface. I only heated this for maybe a minute maximum, and this is pretty freaking hot to the touch actually. So, I mean, it does a fantastic job getting this hot. So there's no real problems there. However, I did notice that baking and roasting, it comes out pretty even, but if we're grilling on the surface here, it does tend to have hot spots and it doesn't cook completely even either. By the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. To test the Ninja Sizzle, we did several things. First, we did a full breakfast with all the fixins, which consisted of eggs, bacon, sausage, and pancakes. We tried to cook everything on the griddle at the exact same time, just to show how much you could actually fit onto the cooking surface. That's actually a pretty big deal, because normally if you're trying to cook that many different things at the same time, you end up with a lot of things that get done before others, and maybe you'll have nice eggs, but you'll have cold bacon, or you'll have to eat waiting for the sausage or something like that. In our case, we managed to get everything to come up at the same time, and it worked out really well. We used every inch of that surface to get that to come out, but that was really just because I wanted to push it and see how much I could fit on there. Also for testing, I made French toast, which came out perfectly even, and I made mushroom and Swiss smash burgers as well. Cooked the meat and melted the cheese right on the burgers first, then I let those rest and sauteed the mushrooms, and last but not least, I toasted the buns. Results on that came out fantastic, and all 4 burgers that I put on the grill all came out the same temperature. Finally, I threw on some steaks just to see how evenly it would cook a dense protein like that, and to see how well the grill lines would show up with the grilling plate. And you see right here that those lines could have been a little bit more distinct, but pretty good for an electric griddle like this. For most people, you're going to get better lines on an outdoor charcoal grill, but this really didn't do all that bad a job. For testing on the Ninja Foodi XL Grill, we also did cheeseburgers. I didn't toast the buns, but the burgers did come out pretty even, but they cooked slower by about 2 minutes than the Ninja Sizzle did. However, we were also able to use the air crisp function to make some sweet potato french fries as well. In addition to the burgers, we also cooked some steaks. Those cooked just fine, but the grill lines on them were a little bit weird, because you'll notice that on the grilling surface here of the Ninja Foodi XL Grill, you've got this swirl pattern. If you like to get that nice uniform grid, you can't really get it on something like this with those twisting around like that. It did cook the steak nicely though, and overall the steaks probably came out a tiny bit faster than they did with the Sizzle for whatever reason. The cook on those was also really even. There's really nothing to complain about as far as that goes. In fact, I did finish those steaks off with the air crisp function just to try to get the crust a little bit more crunchy. Definitely the steaks did feel a little bit more cramped on the surface of the XL Grill than they did with the Ninja Sizzle, just because those dimensions of the cooking surface are just that tiny bit smaller. Next, we use the grilling function to do some Mexican street corn. And as far as things that I've cooked on the Ninja Foodi XL Grill, that might actually have been the favorite thing that I've done. You can see right here that came out looking pretty close to what it would look like coming off of an open flame. The last thing we tested on this was the dehydrate function. To test that, I made some beef jerky. You're gonna notice that as I'm putting that in here, there's really not all that much space at all. In fact, I did prepare a lot of meat for the jerky, but I was only able to do 4 or 5 pieces at a time. And when you're using the dehydrate function, that takes something like 8 or 9 hours in order to get jerky out of it. When the jerky came out, the results were really good. The only thing I would say about that though is that even though it came out really good that way, I probably wouldn't use a Ninja Foodi XL Grill to do that unless I had no other choice. Because really there's just not enough space in there for that to be practical. In fact, when I make beef jerky, I typically just use my Ninja pressure cooker's dehydrator function instead. Because for that I got a layered basket and I can fit a couple of pounds of jerky into that and do it all at one time. And also the jerky doesn't have to sit on the cooking surface, it sits on a rack, which really is a better way to do that because you can get airflow all the way around your meat. As far as cleaning on the Ninja Foodi XL Grill goes, it's kind of a pain in the ass. We're just going to call a spade a spade. There's a lot of design elements to the Ninja Foodi XL Grill that could have been better as far as cleaning goes. The non-stick trays clean up just fine, and the surface down here, really not a big deal because that doesn't get dirty. But everything up in here gets saturated with grease, and if you don't stay on top of it, it just gets everywhere. Especially up around all the screws and everything else up in here, which at a certain point you can't clean anyway. The screen right here does a pretty good job of keeping the heating element clean, and if you look at that, it looks pretty spotless. But the shroud around it and the fan get pretty messed up, and really there's not a whole lot you can do about getting in back to the fan unless you start disassembling stuff. And if you do that, you're going to end up voiding your warranty. If you've had it for a while or you're just comfortable with that kind of thing, then by all means it'll make cleaning it up a lot easier. But for most people, they won't want to do that. Also, although this screen is dishwasher safe, it's very easy to get this mesh clean, but then it's got this other piece that's support on the inside so it doesn't get crushed. But that gets really stained and dirty, and the dishwasher can't clean that. And you can't get anything in there to do it either because you can't take this apart. Also, it would have been really helpful if there was some way that you would be able to remove the lid in order to clean it. I know that's tough because you got a sensor right here, you got all the wires coming in from the bottom that probably come in through one of the arms, so that may or may not be something that's very practical to do. But at least there could have been a piece that would slip on over this surface here that could be removed and cleaned or something like that. I really think they could have come up with a way to make that a little bit better. But as with what's typical with Ninja Kitchen, a lot of their small appliances tend to be a little bit on the hard to clean side. As far as smoke during cooking, the Ninja Sizzle claims to be smokeless, and the Ninja Foodi XL Grill claims to be virtually smokeless. Well, as far as the sizzle is concerned, that's pretty much completely debunked. The lid here with the holes does a pretty good job of keeping oil from splattering all over the place, so your countertops stay pretty clean. And this does break up a little bit of the smoke, but if you're using this in your kitchen, most likely you're going to end up setting off smoke alarms if you're cooking with oil. And in order to counteract the smoke, I made sure I had my range hood fan on maximum, and I had the window open as well.
Oh man! The building is on fire.
For the Ninja Foodi XL Grill, that was much better, but it still did produce enough smoke to where you can visibly see it floating around in the house. So if you're cooking in this thing for 20-25 minutes, you're still going to be able to get enough smoke into the room to set off your smoke detectors if they're pretty close to your kitchen. So the Ninja Sizzle will grill and griddle, but it can't bake, roast, air fry, or dehydrate. And also if you want to probe your temperatures, you're going to have to do that externally. The Ninja Foodi XL Smart Grill does a heck of a lot more things, but if you're using the grill or griddle function, they don't work quite as well on this machine in my opinion as they do on the Ninja Sizzle. Also, if you're dehydrating, there are better ways of doing that than this machine. It works fine if this is all you got, but if you have anything else that can do dehydrating, probably better off using that for that function. So this can make a really great all-in-one device, but it can't do any of those functions as good as other machines even from Ninja can do natively. At first glance, you might think that the Ninja Foodi XL Grill is going to be better in every way. But when it comes down to it, it really depends on what exactly you want to use the grill for. That XL grill's got a heck of a lot more versatility, but I'll tell you what, the Ninja Sizzle actually does a better job at the few tasks it's specifically designed for. At this point, it's just a matter of what's most important to you. If you'd like a little bit more information about the Ninja Foodi XL Smart Grill or the Ninja Sizzle GR101 that we talked about in this video, I do have Amazon affiliate links to those down in the description. If you buy anything through those links, I do make a small commission, but it doesn't change the price that you pay 1 cent. If you like this video, you might like to see our product review right here for the Ninja Foodi Smart XL Grill. In that, I go a little bit more in depth on that grill, and if you're in the market for one, it might help you make a better decision. Well, that's it for now. I hope to see you back again here really soon, and until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.